All right, good morning, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about measurements, just in general. So we're going to talk about what is measurements, what are measurements, I should say, use proper English, and then we'll go into time and temperature. All right, so a measurement is a number that includes a unit. So if I were to put 4, if I just said 4, 4 means nothing. Okay? For what? Okay? So if I add a unit, all right, that gives it a actual thing. Like I said, I could be talking about, if I just had 4, I could be talking about 4 apples, 4 oranges, 4 meters, 4 milliliters if we're talking about volume, okay? So you have to have a unit which helps specify the quantity that is being counted. How are meters and yardsticks different? Well, a meter stick measures a meter, yardsticks measure a yard. So they are different in the units that they measure, okay? So this is a yardstick, which is almost a meter. This is the American and goes in inches. And here for our meter stick, we have centimeters, millimeters, and meters on there. So it says a basketball player might say, "I am almost too high." To what? Okay, so that's where we have to have. That's why we have to have our units, and it is important. All right, because you wouldn't have a basketball player that would be 2 feet tall. That would be either they're really, really good shooting forward, or they're, I don't know, really fast. That would be the only way that would happen. Most likely, the basketball player would be talking about the fact that they're 2 meters tall, okay? But we don't know that. 2 tells us nothing. We need to know, and we need to have a unit on there to help us quantify what we're actually talking about. During the 1800s, the new system of measurement was developed in Europe and Great Britain, known as the metric system. Yes, we live in America, but yes, we will be using the metric system in our science classes. So if you are in Miss Campbell's or Mr. Rogers' science class while you were here for the next 3 years in the middle school, you will be using the metric system. It is a unit on base 10, okay? So what that means is if we had 1 meter, okay, and we said, all right, how many centimeters is that? That would be 2 units smaller, so that would be 100 centimeters, okay? So it's 2 times smaller, so there's our base 10, okay? 1 time larger would be 10 deca meters, okay? And we'll go over more of this in class. We'll have a table that you can kind of see with, and we'll tell you what is required as far as, you're not going to need to memorize this. You're going to be able to use it. The application is more important than just the route memorization of it. All right, meters are the basic unit for distance. In 1971, a meter was 10 millionth of the distance from the North Pole to the equator. Today, a meter is more accurately used. Today, a meter, move this out of the way, is defined more accurately using the speed of light. So, because the speed of light never changes, so we use that now as opposed to, 1/10 millionth of a distance from the North Pole to the equator. So the prefixes, remember from language arts class, pre means in front of, are added to the names for the basic science unit. All right. These prefixes describe very small or very large measurements. Kilo, which was a prefix, kilometer, okay, is 1,000 times larger. Can't draw a straight line. All right. Centi is for centimeters. They are 100 times smaller. All right. And millimeter is 1,000 times smaller. So if you need to measure something like the thickness of a plant stem, okay, we're probably not going to use meters because that would be entirely too large. Okay, you don't want to say that would be 0.003 meters. Okay, that's a very small number. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick the unit we need. So millimeters. Okay, so you would say 3 millimeters thick as opposed to 0.003 0.003 meters thick. You would just say 3 millimeters thick. Matter is anything that takes up space and has a mass. Mass of an object is the equivalent to the amount of matter it contains. So how much matter is in the paperclip? Mass and weight are not the same thing. They are mass, and mass is just the amount of matter that something takes up. Weight is kind of the mass plus gravity. Okay, we talk about this when we get into physical science. So on Earth, 15 apples weighs approximately 15 pounds or 5 pounds. On Mars, these same 15 apples are going to weigh a lot less because Mars has a lot less gravity. So their mass has not changed. 15 apples on Earth, 15 apples on Mars have the same mass, but they do not have the same weight. Weight is a measurement of the force of gravity, like we just said. The more mass an object has, the greater the force on gravity. So which one, and we just kind of talked about this, which one would have the greater force due to gravity? That would be Earth, because its mass is larger and therefore it actually has a larger gravitational pull. All right, pounds and grams. In science, we use grams and mass instead of pounds and weight, okay? Our grams are our base unit for mass. Pounds is the American version along with weight, so that's just how it works. We're going to use the metric system here, so we're going to be thinking more about like kilograms or milligrams or centigrams than 2.2 pounds. So like I just said, grams is the basic unit for mass in SI units. So milliliters. In this case, 1 milliliter equals 1 gram. So we have 250 milliliters of milk. We have 250 grams of milk. Okay. So this is kind of leading to liters is our unit for volume. So, like we just said, volume measures how much space an object takes up. The formula for volume of a rectangle, we probably know this, is length times height. So we got 10 centimeters, about 10 centimeters, about 10 centimeters. So that would be a 1,000 centimeters squared would be the volume for this cube. It's also known as 1 liter. So our unit, our SI unit for volume is in liters here. Okay? Well, you will see centimeters cubed because we had 1, 2, 3, so that's why our unit is cubed. So you will see this sometimes, but vast majority of the time in class we're going to use liters with some kind of prefix on it. Kiloliters, which would be a very large amount, milliliters, which is a fairly small amount. So this is what we're going to be doing in class, mainly using the beakers and the graduated. So here's our beaker, here's our graduated cylinder, all right, and they both measure in milliliters. Your graduated cylinder is more accurate than the beaker. The beaker is usually a little bit off. It's used for very general measurements. If we need a very specific amount, we'll be using the graduated cylinders. They're both measured in, there's another color for this, milliliters. All right, so that's it for this video. Tomorrow we will use and talk about time and temperature.